watching India Global. I'm Gauri Divedi. Let's get you the big stories that we are tracking this hour for you. First up, at least 52 people are dead and hundreds missing as floods triggered by a downpour wreak havoc in Nepal. India aids the rescue operations as first responder. 1,000 trekkers are trapped after severe blizzard hits Mount Everest. Rescue efforts underway. Will peace finally befall Middle East this week? All eyes on Cairo as US, Israel and Hamas delegations meet to discuss Trump's 20-point peace formula. And did Russia actually supply jet engines to Pakistan? That's the key question. Analysts warn Beijing might be aiding Islamabad to purchase Russian engines indirectly, even as Moscow slams any such report. Viewers, Nepal is facing one of its worst natural disasters in recent years as relentless rains unleash flash floods and landslides across the country. At least 52 people are dead so far. And a large part of this is actually in eastern Nepal and central regions which have been hit the hardest. Key rivers like Koshi, Tamor and Arun are actually flying above danger levels. 6 out of 7 of Nepal's main districts have been impacted by the flooding. Several highways are completely shut. Power stations are shut down as well, and hundreds are trapped and stranded in remote areas. The Nepal army has deployed troops, helicopters for rescue, but bad weather conditions are hampering any rescue operations. Authorities have reported embankment breaches and damages worth 100 million rupees, with entire villages now at risk of being completely cut off. India has stepped in as the first responder, offering emergency support services. Prime Minister Modi has expressed solidarity, assuring that India stands with Nepal in this critical time. As water levels continue to rise, Nepal's government has urged citizens to stay alert, brace for more rain in coming days as well. There have been some compensation that has also been offered and given by the Nepal government in the wake of very large number of casualty figures that are coming in. Let's get in Vishal Vivek, my colleague, for more on this. Now, Vishal, this is very distressing. These visuals itself tell just the scale at which destruction has actually taken place in Nepal. Walk us through any details that you have right now as to how things look on ground.
Well, Gauri, as we speak, the Nepalese army and air force, they are trying to rescue as many people as they can. They have limited resources because remember, Nepal is one of the poorest nations on earth, and it had already been grappling with many problems of its own. It has an interim government in place that had replaced a really troubled government that had been replaced by a new government due to protests that had rocked the country. Many people died, so there was already fresh element of surprise in the Nepalese heartland. But add to that, we have this fresh tragedy. Almost 55 to 60 people have been killed. The latest reports state that. How India, helps them out, that will have to be seen. The Prime Minister has already expressed solidarity and has sent out some aid. How Nepal itself manages this will have to be seen, because as I mentioned, they have limited resources. They are bound by many challenges because the capital Kathmandu has been cut off from the rest of the country because the highways leading to the capital, they have been damaged. Almost all of the highways have been damaged. How Nepal will come out of this tragedy, that will have to be monitored, because at least 10 locations have been marked on the map where these evacuation operations are going on. These are some one of the biggest operations that the Nepalese government has ever seen. So we'll have to wait on confirmation as to how Nepal will manage this tragedy.
All right, let's leave it there. Vishal Vivek telling us more about that horrific flooding situation unfolding in Nepal. India and Nepal also have very deep military ties. The Indian Army has been supporting the Nepalese army all along and may play a very critical role in relief and rescue operations going forward. Shifting focus, viewers, to the big international story that we're tracking on India Global. Well, it's going to be the second anniversary of the horrific 7th of October Hamas terror attack soon that created new fault lines in Middle East. Now, ahead of that second anniversary, negotiators in Cairo are now jostling for a ceasefire that has seemed within grasp several times in the past as well. Just this morning, viewers, in the latest that is coming in right now, delegations are from Hamas, from Israel and the US are meeting in Cairo, dissecting and jostling over Donald Trump's 20-point proposal. Now, parts of that proposal have been accepted by Hamas, not all of it. Will that mean that eventually there will be a ceasefire? Is really the key question. Now, it's worth noting that Hamas's delegation is being headed by its chief negotiator, the one that was seen in a video for the first time since Israel's assassination attempt in Doha just a month ago. Meanwhile, just hours earlier, Donald Trump hailed negotiations that are taking place in Egypt between Hamas and countries from all over the world, is what he said, for the release of hostages and to end the war in Gaza, and that he says have been very successful and proceeding rapidly. Now, over in Israel, Netanyahu once again being slammed, and he's also slamming Europe, saying that it's irrelevant in peace talks. Remember, Netanyahu is also under tremendous domestic pressure, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But first up, listen in to the Israeli Prime Minister.
Europe has been absent because Europe has basically caved in to Palestinian terrorism, to radical Islamist minorities in their midst. And they basically said, just give them a Palestinian state, which would be the ultimate reward for Hamas after doing the greatest massacre against the Jews since the Holocaust. Now we'll give you a state in which you can continue the war against Israel. That's why Europe has essentially become irrelevant and displayed enormous weakness.
That was Netanyahu saying, why is it that Europe is not on the high table as a peace deal is being thrashed out, even as outside on Jerusalem streets, protesters and relatives of hostages chanted their names to keep up the pressure on his government and on Trump as well for a final deal. Remember, those hostages have still not been freed. They haven't seen sunlight for 2 long years. Listen in.
The proposal is clear. All hostages must be released within 72 hours. We, the vast majority of the Israeli public, are looking to your leadership and count on you to make sure it's signed and fulfilled.
Hostages, living and dead, need to return. It's one of the key conditions of the peace formula. And that part has been accepted, though, by Hamas. It is the several other parts of the 20-point formula that is yet to be finalized. Now, across the fence in war-ravaged Gaza, there are hungry and desperate displaced Palestinians that are gathered on Sunday at a charity kitchen hoping to fill their pots with hot food. The food situation across the entire Gaza Strip has only worsened since a UN-backed monitor declared parts of the territory were experiencing famine last month. Now, how bad the situation is has been a matter of great global scrutiny, even as all eyes are on whether or not a peace formula will happen. Now, we're going to talk about whether it's going to lead to lasting peace, whether that formula will eventually be accepted by all parties, and is this really the best possible solution on the table? We're going to talk about all of that. But first up, I want this report to be played out, viewers, that talks about the decimation of Hamas leadership, which really was a turning point in the 2-year-long war and is the reason why hopefully those peace talks look like most successful, or the possibility looks most successful right now than ever before. Take a look.
October 7, 2023, a day of unprecedented violence as Hamas launched its attack, shattering illusions of security and triggering a fierce retaliation from Israel. In response, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu unleashed a sustained campaign, vowing to wipe out Hamas's top brass. One by one, senior figures were targeted. The group's cohesion battered by relentless precision strikes. In a dramatic technological milestone, a guided missile traced a Hamas leader's mobile signal, striking decisively. The message: no one was beyond reach. Gaza's militants were left reeling, and the world saw a new kind of warfare in action. The shock carried across borders to Qatar, as senior Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh was mourned at his funeral in Doha. After another targeted assassination, the era of safe havens for the group appeared to be over. Amid global scrutiny, Donald Trump threw vocal support behind Netanyahu, warning Hamas to fall in line. For the first time in years, Hamas's leadership began to fracture under coordinated pressure, with new negotiations and hostages exchanges signaling a shift. As Israeli intelligence continues to target remaining leaders, the future of Hamas hangs in the balance. Will they regroup and resist, or has a new era dawned for the region? NDTV Bureau Report.
All right, let's get a quick word from Benny Benjamin. He's a former Israeli soldier joining me on the broadcast, even as we put up those big questions to him. The reason why we ask as to whether or not this ceasefire will actually hold, and whether some of those 20-point proposals that have been put forth will be accepted or not, including the crucial one, which is whether Hamas will agree to disarm or not. Mr. Benjamin, your thoughts on the fact that these negotiations are taking place, but should we be hopeful of lasting peace?
Hi, namaskar, first of all from Israel, shalom. As per what I think and what I'm knowing from the news and from my Prime Minister, that we are already stopped the war. The war is already stopped. Now the ball is in their hand. They must do the efforts and release our hostages back. After releasing our hostages back, the negotiation will start. If Hamas will be staying on their seats, I don't think there will be peace in this area. If Qatar will not support Hamas, and if Iranians will not support Hamas, maybe we'll have peace with the Gazans and with the Palestinians in West Bank. The message must be clear. They must disarm all the militants, including everybody. We are not harming anybody if they will not harm us.
That's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is that Israel needs to withdraw completely from the Strip. That's another aspect to it, right?
20 years ago, we already withdrew from the Gaza Strip. I mean, each and every millimeter of the part, we have given them back. If it is supposed to have, no, Israel is not supposed to come back to the borders before they start the negotiation. After they start negotiations, there are steps to do it. We are completely with the 20 or 21. The deals are there with the president and with our prime minister. We are exactly doing whatever it is written in the paper. So I mean, we don't have any problem to negotiate, and we don't have any problem to release some terrorisms that we have in our jails. But I think the first point is our 48 hostages. Our 48 hostages must come back, and we agree to everything.
Very quickly, Benny, the fact that Donald Trump wants this to be done before Friday, do you think that adds too much pressure on these negotiations, or do you think that could be a good thing leading to some sort of a closure?
I think it is a good thing. I think it is a, the pressure must be on the both sides. I don't care about Hamas because they are guerrillas for me. I don't count them in anything. But because we have our 48 hostages, we are counting out for the Gazans and we are counting out of the Americans. And I think he must press how much he can press. And we don't have any problem. They will press our Prime Minister too.
All right, let's leave it there. Mr. Benny Benjamin joining me on the broadcast.
Thank you.
Viewers,
Thank you.
Bottom line really is that as negotiators gather in Cairo once again, one thing is absolutely clear. that a unified Gaza Authority with a clear charter and a long-term vision is extremely important. Only then any ceasefire would actually hold. Of course, there are political pressures that are mounting on all sides, from the hostages' families on the streets of Jerusalem to the starving civilians lining up for scrapes in Gaza. And then there is Donald Trump, watching closely, positioning himself as the global deal maker. But the big question remains, will this historic deal finally get him that elusive Nobel Peace Prize? Well, some would say the reason for Trump to hurry is not just that lives are at stake, but also that the Nobel Peace Prize Committee is set to take its decision on Friday. It seems the road to peace goes via Cairo, but has a critical pit stop in Oslo. On that note, we slip into a very short break on India Global. We come back with the other big story.
Make this Diwali royal with Royal Sweets. Enjoy authentic traditional sweets with your family. Order online at royalsweets.co.uk.
Right now, terrible things are happening to donkeys. They work all day in the blistering sun without food or water. They're suffering silently while their backs are breaking. Some are being abandoned and will be left to die alone. But the worst thing you can do to a donkey isn't to break its body. It's to break its heart. Because donkeys are loyal, loving creatures. They trust us to care for them. And when they're hurt and abused, they feel it inside too. But right now, you can do something incredible for donkeys. You can support the Donkey Sanctuary. Just call 0800 035 9318 and give £2 a month. Because your support can help protect donkeys. You can help us to treat the sick and the injured. You'll help to mend broken hearts so that they can learn to love and trust again. Right now, so many working donkeys around the world are suffering. But we can only be there for them with your help. So please, call 0800 035 9318 or text HEART7 to 78866 and give £2 a month to the Donkey Sanctuary, because terrible things are happening to donkeys. Please, do something incredible for them right now.
This is an important message for people living with diabetes, from people living with diabetes.
When I was experiencing the symptoms of diabetes, I didn't know what was going on.
You go on the internet and it's full of horror stories. You don't know where to begin and you don't know what to believe.
I didn't understand about carbs, I didn't understand about blood glucose levels.
I was scared and I was worried.
I didn't understand diabetes full stop.
That's why the support I get as a Diabetes UK member is so important.
You can become a Diabetes UK member too. To join us now, just call 0800 144 5406 and become a member today for just £3 a month. When you do, you'll receive a practical guide specific to your type of diabetes and a copy of Balance magazine 4 times a year. Balance is filled with news and inspiring real-life stories from members just like you. And you'll receive regular emails and vital updates that will help you feel informed and supported. Plus, you'll help support research that could lead to better treatments for all types of diabetes.
Membership makes life better because you're not alone anymore.
Call 0800 144 5406 or go online to become a Diabetes UK member for just £3 a month. Because membership can help you learn to live better with diabetes.
The other story on India Global, well, it's coming in from Moscow and a possible Moscow-Islamabad partnership with regard to defense packs. Now, Russia has denied reports that it plans to supply advanced fighter jet engines to Pakistan. Over the weekend, a top Russian official said that Moscow is not providing any of these engines that are meant for Chinese-made JF-17 fighter jets. The denial comes after a major political storm erupted in India. Russia says there is no such cooperation. But Pakistani defense imports account for $1 billion, and that matters for Russia right now. Even as many are asking that is this China stitching up a possible joint venture between Russia and Pakistan. Now, the Congress party has weighed in on this, saying that it undermines India's strategic ties with Russia, questions why a trusted ally would arm Pakistan while still selling advanced weapons to India. Moscow insists that it respects India's concerns, denies any deal that could jeopardize relations. But there are questions because there are big ramifications. We're going to put that questions out for you right here. And let's get in Brahmachalani for some of those answers along with General Sanjay Soy as well. Because the most important fact is that is Russia supplying jet engines to Pakistan? Is China aiding the Pak-Russia jet engine deal? And will this affect India ties as things stand right now? Dr. Chilani, your first thoughts on that.
Gauri, the first thing to keep in mind is that Russia is not supplying these advanced jet engines to Pakistan directly. It's routing them through China. China has these various arms deals with Moscow, and one of the agreements is for importing these advanced jet engines for the Sino-Pakistani fighter project. So in a way, this denial by unidentified Russian official is actually a non-denial. Nobody has claimed that Moscow is directly supplying these engines to Islamabad. China and Pakistan have been working together over this project, which is aimed at bolstering Pakistan's air capabilities against the common Chinese and Pakistani enemy, which is India. And this advanced fighter jet clearly relies on the Russian advanced engines. But there's a context, a background to this we should not forget as to why Russia may be providing these jet engines to China for use in the Sino-Pakistani program. It is that when India wanted jet engines for its Tejas LCA, India chose the US over Russia. Russia was offering its jet engines to India, but India chose the US, chose General Electric. It's another story that General Electric has faltered on its commitments to India. For the Tejas, the first series of LCA, the GE engines, the first engine arrived in March this year, 2 years behind schedule, disrupting the Tejas production schedule. And the more advanced GE engines, the F414 engines for the next generation Tejas, the negotiations over those advanced jet engines began after Modi's state visit to Washington in June 2023, when an agreement was reached for India to procure these F414 engines.
Yes.
But more than 2 years later, those negotiations are dragging on, and India is actually now looking at alternative options.
Okay.
So there's a background to what Russia may be doing in aiding the Sino-Pakistani project.
Okay. Let's get in General Soy as well on this. Sir, in your assessment, the concern is that this engine actually enhances the jet's capability for high altitude operations, particularly around LOC. Is that concern justified, and how significant is that?
Yeah, in fact, Gauri, thank you so much. It's a very, very important topic. In fact, I would say, like Dr. Brahma has brought out, that Russia has been supplying engines for JF-17 to China for quite some time since its manufacture. The basic engine has always remained the RD-93. Now the talks are on, which were used for JF-7 Block 1 and Block 2 models, earlier model. Now the upgraded model is being made, and Pakistan and China have a joint venture of Pakistan Aeronautical Complex in Kamra, where they produce JF-17. as Dr. Brahma has brought out, that Russia would be supplying these engines. Now they are looking for upgraded engine, that is 93 MA, which will definitely enhance the maneuverability, enhance the thrust, enhance the range. So it is a matter of concern for us that because it will definitely reduce the gap between the capability between Indian Air Force and Pakistan Air Force. Though Russia has denied about the deal, but however, we cannot close our eyes. We need to keep an eye on it. And we also, as Dr. Brahma has brought out, our Tejas program is already delayed. And if we get the Tejas Mark II as per the present program, if it goes as smoothly, last aircraft will get only in 2034. That's very late. And by then, some of our aircraft squadrons would be out. Pakistan has got a mainstay, about 150, about 7 squadrons of J-17 they are flying. They are used to it and they have used these aircraft. You try to use these aircraft during Operation Sindoor also. We need to look for, I mean, there's one couple of things I would like to highlight, Gauri.
Okay.
We need not, we need to put a pressure on Russia that they should not supply the advanced version. And we have the leeway because we are in major defense procurement, where our major defense procurement
to a large
is from
extent,
Russia.
we have been playing a very major role as far as overall Russian economy is concerned. So you're right about the fact that the kind of leverage that New Delhi has is extremely critical, and that needs to be kept in mind. Very quickly, Dr. Chilani, I'm completely out of time, but very quickly I want to understand from you, do you think India will use this leverage, and will this lead to this cancellation of any of this order?
India is trying to use that leverage. India has been trying to exert pressure on Moscow, but the problem is this, that because these advanced jet engines are being routed through China, that allows Moscow a measure of formal deniability of the supply of these engines. So Moscow can pretend that actually it's not supplying the engines to Pakistan, but the very fact that it's actually routing them through China amounts to the same thing. And therefore, what the Russians are trying to do is to take India round and round the mulberry bush.
Okay.
India has to exercise that leverage in a more forceful manner.
All right, I will have to leave it there, sir. And gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on this edition of India Global. And with that, viewers, we wrap things up on this show. Thanks so much for watching.